everybody, welcome back from atop the wall. My name is Spike, and I got another deck tech for you today. It is called, can you see, whatever you can see into my house. Alright, this deck today is Demir Flying Infect, because I couldn't come up with a better name for it. It's basically Infect Birds with Swords. And it's pretty much what it is. This deck doesn't have a lot of interaction, but the points where it does interact are very crucial and important. And the creatures themselves are actually very powerful. They're evasive, sometimes flying, infect creatures, a little bit of proliferate to get through to the end. And our sideboard involves a lot of irrelevant interaction and make your interaction more important. We basically keep the same game plan throughout the game. And God, I can see that door through the screen next to the camera, and that is bugging me. Alright, so let's get right into some of our flyers. Let's start with our 11 evasive infect creatures. They're all 2 mana. We have a playset of Blighted Agent, an unblockable 1/1 for 2. We have Plague Stinger, a 1/1 flyer with infect for 2, and a Throwing Bird, a 1/1 flyer that proliferates when it deals combat damage to a player for 2 mana. It's our backup. We want to play the other playsets first. We want to try to play one, get in for at least 1 damage, and then start playing our Throwing Birds, poking in with Throwing Bird. It's a backup option that can help us. Now for our boost cards, our cards that help us actually make this into a real clock instead of just a 10-turn clock, we have 4 Bone Splitters, 2 Darksteel Axe, 4 Mutagenic Growths, and 2 Supernatural Staminas. Now the Bone Splitters and Darksteel Axe, they both cost 1. Darksteel Axe is indestructible, but is our backup. It costs 2 to equip versus Bone Splitter's 1, so I want to lean heavier on Bone Splitter to make us faster. While Mutagenic Growth, for 2 of our life, we can increase our infect creatures' power and toughness by 2, potentially save it from Electricity, save it from save it from Edinhar's Justice, something like that, or just help us close out the game. Supernatural Stamina, kind of the same idea, just a backup, but we can't use it for free. Then we have some of our cantrips. 4 Gataxian Probe. I don't know if you know this, but Gataxian Probe is really good, like at pretty much every point of the game, except when your opponent's hand is empty. It lessens the number of cards in your deck and brings us closer to the cards that we want. So I want to run the full playset. Very powerful, just banned in Legacy, banned in Modern, fantastic card all around. Then we have Preordain, another powerful cantrip, scry 2, draw a card. It lets us see 3 new cards. Now we have a 3 of Steady Progress. Steady Progress is 2 and a blue, proliferate, and draw a card. Proliferate, I don't know if I mentioned this yet, for each counter on either a player or a permanent, you can add another one of those counters for any number of things. So you can increase infect counters, you can increase a charge counter, you can increase a +1/+1 counter, or you can increase a -1 counter. So with infect, it's really strong and will help us close out the game. Just think of it as 3 mana, they get another infect counter, maybe their last infect counter, and win the game, and it draws us a card. A play set of Daze and 2 counter spells. The reason why I have the full play set of Daze is because I feel like we're trying to close out the game a little bit faster than our opponents, and we're trying to just like keep them off. In game 1, Daze is really good because most people don't expect Daze, and it's not played very often in Pauper. Plus, we're so low mana that if we return that land to our hand and play it next turn, we're not actually thrown off our curve that much, and we can still hopefully play versus counterspells, which we are a 2-color deck, and casting counterspell very early, like on turn 2, could be very hard, and it's a little difficult to have it up when we do require some of our colored mana elsewhere. Plus, if it's turn 3 and we're choosing between playing a Throwing Bird or leaving up counterspell, we have to end up choosing. So I want to have fewer counterspells and more Daze. Then in game 2, you substitute Daze out for a lot of our sideboard stuff. For our mana base, I felt like 10 islands, 6 swamps, and 4 Dismal Blackwaters for the life gain would be good. Part of the reason why I had trouble thinking of which cantrip I should choose, either Ponder or Preordain, was because I didn't feel like the shuffle effect was consistent enough to make a big difference for Preordain. But the life gain for Dismal Blackwaters Abysmal Backwaters is a little bit more relevant because we don't have too many blockers and people come at us as a more aggressive deck that deals a lot more damage, like mono red or something that's more mid-range and can deal a lot of damage and potentially race us. The one point of life might make a bit of difference to us. So let's get into our sideboard. Let's start with our couple counter spells that I would like to replace Daze with in game 2 for a little bit of better removal, something that they might not be expecting. 2 Annul, counter artifact or enchantment, and 2 Dispel, counter target instant. So if they bring in more removal, we have the Dispel. If they're playing Affinity, I like Annul against Prophetic Prism when fighting Tron. Next I have 1 Cower in Fear, creatures your opponents control, get -1/-1 until end of turn. I prefer this over Shrivel or Electricity or Evankar's Justice because this is faster than Evankar's Justice. This doesn't kill our creatures. We do have 1/1s. All of our creatures are 1/1s and we don't have a lot of ways to protect them. Usually I would consider putting in more Cower in Fear for board wipes against them for things like elves and goblins or whatever, but we actually have 3 sets of serrated arrows. I was wrong, it is 2 sets of serrated arrows, and we have 3 disfigures to fight off Delver, to fight off some of their key creatures. Serrated arrows has this neat little trick with our proliferate where we can keep getting more arrow counters, and it can be 4 mana, get a 4 for 1, or 2 Relic Ups or Protectinus to fight Graveyard. Then we have 1 Naguro Stealth Suit. I know from the last video, I like this card so much. It's so good against mono black control and mono red sometimes when you can just whip this thing around for 2 mana. You're basically counterspelling a targeted removal spell. I know this is a combo with our supernatural stamina and our mutagenic growth, but it does fight through a lot of things, and if we time it right and we try to avoid using our pump spells and try to always use them at the last second and keep our opponent on edge, forcing them to use their removal first and then us in response attaching this. And for our last 2 things, if you like the stealth suit, you're gonna love Blessing of Leeches. It is an enchantment aura, it has flash, and at the beginning of your upkeep you lose 1 life. What's great about it? Pay 0 and regenerate the enchanted creature. For 3 mana, that's a lot, but the creature never dies. Oh, it just never dies. It's so hard to get rid of. They need bounce spells, which are uncommon, except in decks that like to call themselves tempo or whatever. Alright, that is everything, and next week, I know I said this the week prior, because I wanted to do like the Rakdos thing. I was trying to build a deck with that. The Rakdos discard, I don't feel like it's quite suitable enough yet in Pauper or in a lot of other formats, so I guess we'll see what happens next week if I can really crack the code. Coming for that face touch.